In the late 1990s and early 2000s, software developers were witnessing what felt like a defining battle for the future of programming. On one side was Java, backed by the promise of portability and open standards. On the other was .NET, tightly integrated with Windows and strongly backed by Microsoft. Both platforms were powerful. Both were modern. Both aimed to dominate enterprise software. Yet over time, Java emerged as the global default for large-scale enterprise systems, cloud platforms, and backend infrastructure. .NET remained important, but Java became ubiquitous. This wasn't a technical knockout. It was a slow, structural victory. To understand how Java won, you have to look beyond syntax and performance and focus on timing, openness, and trust. Java entered the world with a radical idea: write once, run anywhere. Programs compiled into bytecode could run on any machine with a Java virtual machine. In a world dominated by incompatible operating systems and hardware, this was revolutionary. Enterprises saw immediate value. A Java application written for one system could be deployed across servers without rewriting core logic. This mattered deeply at a time when companies were running a mix of Unix, Linux, and Windows systems. .NET, by contrast, was designed primarily for Windows. It was deeply tied to Microsoft's ecosystem. From a purely engineering perspective, this tight integration made .NET elegant and productive. But strategically, it created hesitation. Large organizations had long memories. They remembered vendor lock-in. By the time .NET arrived, Microsoft was already known for tightly controlling its platforms. Enterprises worried that building everything on .NET meant committing fully to Windows, Microsoft tooling, and Microsoft licensing models. Java felt safer. Another key factor was openness. Java was positioned as a standard rather than a product. Multiple vendors built Java runtimes, tools, and application servers. Companies could choose between implementations without rewriting applications. This created competition, which lowered risk. .NET, especially in its early years, was effectively a single-vendor platform. Microsoft controlled the runtime, the tools, the direction, and the licensing. For small teams, that was convenient. For global enterprises, it was a strategic risk. Java also benefited from early adoption in academia and research. Universities taught Java extensively. A generation of developers entered the workforce already fluent in it. This created a massive talent pool. Enterprises follow talent. Once Java became the default language taught in computer science programs, hiring became easier. Training costs dropped. Ecosystems grew. Momentum built on itself. Meanwhile, Java arrived at exactly the right moment. The rise of the internet, large-scale distributed systems, and early web applications all demanded portability, scalability, and reliability. Java's architecture, garbage collection, and threading model fit these needs well. .NET was powerful, but it arrived slightly later, in a world where Java had already become entrenched. There's also the question of culture. Java evolved in an environment shaped by open-source communities, standards committees, and cross-company collaboration. Even when vendors competed, they did so within a shared ecosystem. Early .NET development felt more centralized. Microsoft's direction was clear and coherent, but less flexible. Enterprises that wanted independence, customization, or long-term neutrality leaned toward Java. Over time, Java became the default choice for application servers, middleware, financial systems, telecom platforms, and later, cloud infrastructure. Frameworks, libraries, and tools accumulated. Once large systems were built, switching costs became enormous. At that point, Java didn't need to be better. It just needed to be stable. This doesn't mean .NET failed. .NET thrived in Windows-centric environments, internal enterprise tools, and later evolved significantly with cross-platform support. Modern .NET is far more open and flexible than its early versions. But by the time that shift happened, Java had already won the mindshare battle. The real lesson here is not about languages. It's about ecosystems. Java won not because it was perfect, but because it reduced risk. It offered portability, vendor choice, and a massive talent pool at a moment when enterprises were making long-term bets. In technology, dominance often comes from trust, not elegance. Java earned that trust early, and once it did, the outcome was largely decided. If you enjoyed this deep dive into tech history, like the video, subscribe to Talking Tech. and share it with someone who lived through the Java versus .NET era.